Oh, hey, I'm Michael. I'm just from across the river. I'm the director of the QT Centre for Robotics. Everything we do in robotics moves and requires positioning and navigation systems, so everything here is of immense interest to us. Sure. So as the token roboticist, maybe there's some others out in the room that I haven't met yet. I do feel obliged to point out that you've probably seen some of this in the news, but robotics and autonomous systems is at a potential absolutely transformative point that I would not have said would have been possible 3 years ago. So obviously all the advances in AI and humanoid robots mean that there's now a non-zero chance that we might have millions and then billions of humanoid robots or other robots around us in our workplaces, in our homes, basically everywhere. And they will all have navigation requirements subject to a lot of the constraints that have been talked about already today. So there is a very potentially exciting transformation point in that technology, and navigation and positioning will be a core part of that transformation if it happens. We've worked in this area for about 2 decades, both on the blue sky crazy research side of positioning and mapping research, but also on the commercial side, especially in the autonomous vehicle space with companies like Caterpillar, with companies like Ford Motor Corporation, and in other areas like drones. And one of the things that everyone learns is that all the theory about how positioning systems should work never survive contact with the real world, especially if you're 600 meters deep underground in a mining tunnel or someone is adversarially jamming or spoofing your signal. Basically, nothing out of the research community comes fit for purpose to solve those problems. The 2 areas that we're particularly excited about in the autonomy space as regards positioning and navigation, first is introspection. So for some, they'll go, of course, in aerospace and other areas, introspection, integrity have been critical measures. But in the autonomy space, so robots, drones, autonomous vehicles, this whole concept of positioning and navigation systems that know when they don't know is very much in its infancy. It's basically an entirely greenfields area, and every single commercial project or applied project we've done, that has been arguably the most critical factor. It's not the absolute performance or the CEP of the system, it's does the system know when it doesn't know, because if it doesn't, then you'll make catastrophic life and death decisions unknowingly based on incorrect information. The other area that we're looking at, and I guess it relates to the point that I very much appreciate Allison mentioning before, which is none of this in a way is new. There are new sensors, there are new ways of doing things, but basically there's this triangle of positioning and navigation capabilities, and they all have strengths and weaknesses. And so one of the areas that we've been working in is taking in all the lessons from the last 20 years, all the mistakes we've made, everything hundreds of industry and government partners have complained to us about, to create a ubiquitous positioning service that complements all the other technologies that you've heard about. And we're operating off the assumptions that people have talked about in this room. So the assumption there is zero comms, there is zero access to anything in the sky, you have no money, and you want it to work almost everywhere. And so that's our foundation. We will add in GPS and inertial sensors and quantum photonics and all these other amazing new technologies. But that's a really liberating baseline to start from when you're thinking about developing these technologies, because you can't rely on any of these amazing capabilities. So I'll plug Allison's cooperative research center that she's leading instead. Just very brief background. We think positioning and navigation technology is critical. We formed a consortium of around 70 partner organizations from government, from universities, from industry, from all around the world, and put in one of these centers of excellence. These are federal, the bee's knees research centers in Australia. Unfortunately, it was rejected. The feedback we got actually bodes well for, I think, further work in this area, which is basically that companies were already very interested in this area, government was already nominally very interested in this area, and so what do you need fundamental research funding for? So Allison is now leading a cooperative research center bid in this area, so go talk to her if you're interested. But what we did find was we got resoundingly positive interest from everyone. The only situations in which people weren't interested was when, for example, a large shipbuilder thought that they already had the problem fully solved, which is fine with us. But there was pretty much universal interest across the board. So I think that bodes well for future strategic initiatives at the national and international level in Australia as well.